Hey, what's going on, everybody? DStyleBoxing here. Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. Make sure you throw a jab at the like button. Make sure it turns blue. I really need you guys to start doing that. Many of you already do. Those that forget, please don't forget to do that. You know, got a great lineup of shows coming this week, man. And I probably won't be on tomorrow or Tuesday. However, Wednesday, Hispanics Causing Panic every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't wait for the notification. Just know that DStyleBoxing will be live on Wednesday, 10 p.m. You should already know that. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7, Pacific. Like that's on. Like, you guys should already know that. You shouldn't have to depend on YouTube to give you that notification. Like, don't wait on. Like, you just know the show's on. So Theo Media on here. What's going on, bro? Absolutely. Chief Funky 84, HCP in the house. That's right. All right. Make sure you guys jab it and stay on here, man. Don't just like the video and leave. Listen to DStyleBoxing. Learn some. All right. Check it out, man. Check this out. Also, Thursday, Throwback Thursday. If you haven't already checked out the videos, go back. Check out that video with myself, Blood, and 97 Rough, man. Great stuff. It's also up on the Leaving the Ring Network. If you want to listen to it on the go, you don't have to watch it on video. You know what I mean? The same with Hispanics Causing Panic. Also, please, Afro Rican G, how's it going this Thursday, man? Another Throwback Thursday, man. I'm gonna drag some old school YouTubers, man. I'm telling you, that shit's on the works. But some of them are already on here, and I want to kind of go back and talk about that infamous night, man, on Rope Dope Radio with 97 Rough and Joe Habib, and I'm pretty sure Blood will be on there, man. Hope, because he was there too. And we could talk some other stuff. I know I want Blood to bring back Buddha Side, the Body Banger, the whole good stuff. Anyway, let's get to the title of the video. All right. Give me a second here. Damn string. Give me a second. I don't know. I'll fix this later. But anyway, guys, let's talk about this Tank Davis. This Tank Davis thing, man. We got to talk about this. Joe Lopez 40 ounce. How's it going? Tank Davis released a video of him getting the best of Adrien Redkach. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And people were going crazy, right? Oh, man, he's a featherweight and he's bullying around a welterweight. Well, first of all, Tank Davis that dude, right, was not a lightweight. I should have said lightweight in that sparring session, right? That's number one. Dude had love handles. But it's not here nor there. I get that the point still stands. I just wanted to say that. And I have several thoughts about this, man. Why is this a thing, man? Like this whole releasing, like, sparring is work. It's what it is. That's what sparring is. If fighters want to release some sparring footage, that's on them. But this was obviously, right, filmed and cut where Tank looked at his best in the sparring. I mean, it's obvious. If he was beating his ass the whole time, they would have released the whole thing. If he was beating his ass, he would have released the whole thing, not just a clip of the thing. Now, that's numero uno. That's number one. Why didn't he do that? I know it's a lot of Tank Davis fans out there. I don't give a fuck. Let me just tell you that right now. I think what him and his team did in this case was low. It's what it was. And people came out, oh, he owned him. And we live in the he owned him culture, and in the he punked him culture. You know what I mean? That's what we live in right now. And this is impressive. Not getting in the ring and fighting the best fighters in your division, that's not impressing fans. This, like a 20 seconds of glory moment against a second-rate welterweight is supposed to like impress me. And I believe Redkach when he says he signed up for 6 rounds and left after the 4th round. They filmed a little spot, then they left. You signed up for 6, you should have stayed for 6. Now, why did you ask the guy not to film it if then you're going to turn around and film some, guys? There's no, it seems to me that there's no honor anymore when it comes to these sparring sessions. That's what it seems like to me. And you're right, a lot of people don't like Paulie, rightfully so, in my opinion, but they did the same thing to Paulie. I mean, let's be honest. Okay, they did the same thing. Now, in Paulie's case, Paulie kind of asked for it because Paulie was saying he could tie a hand behind his back and put weights on his ankles and was laughing at the fact that Conor could even dare get in the ring with him. So it was definitely a different situation, without a shadow of a doubt. And Paulie was also going to the media talking about how he's getting the best of Conor when, in sparring. He shouldn't have done that. And that's whether Conor Camp was going to do it or not, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's sparring. Sparring's about work. That's what it is. See, when you guys watch fights on television, these guys have gone through a whole camp already, right? They made weight. They're in fighting shape. Sparring sessions, I mean, you don't even know. Is this guy in the start of his camp, the middle of his camp? He's a little rusty. Is the other guy a little more, sharp because he's been a little more active? Whatever the case is, those are factors we just don't know when you just randomly watch sparring sessions. Those are things you just don't know. I mean, you guys got to understand that. They try to do this with Teofimo Lopez. They release some footage, some dude did, and then Teofimo Lopez's dad released some footage himself. Said, no. Watch the whole thing here. Conor tried that with that South African fighter. You guys can put a name in the chat. I forget the name. They released some footage making Conor look, it was obviously edited. It looked like Conor was getting the best of the boxer. And the guy said, well, you know what? We filmed this shit just in case, and they released the whole thing, was beating the shit out of Conor. All right? When you actually look at the footage. When you actually look at the footage. So something's up with this, man. These little games that these fighters are playing and shit. I don't support none of that. All right? You shouldn't be filming the best parts of you and then just releasing that to the public, okay, to make yourself look good and to put on some facade and shit. Nah, dude, you obviously looked out of shape. You only sparred 4 rounds. Who the fuck are you kidding, bro? You walked out after 4 rounds of sparring. You owed him 6. Yeah, Gaines, you're right. Absolutely. Sparring and fighting is different. The purpose behind it is different too. I served 8 inches. I like Tank, but that was uncalled for. I agree. I wonder if Tank would spar Lomas' boxing dialogue. I don't know. I don't know if he would or not. Guys are releasing sparring footage of each other. Look, I was beating your ass and this and that. And they're releasing sparring footages and shit. Well, what is this? I understand that boxing fans are thirsty for some action, but I mean, we don't need to be releasing sparring footage like this. There is a bad effect, right? A continuing effect that this can have on the sport. And I'll explain that in a moment. But you guys got to see that. You got to see how this can play a pretty bad, how this can be bad for the sport. Tank Davis, all right. Look, man, what they did, like, I'm not saying it was like he should go to jail for it or something, but it just now, how many good sparring partners, is Tank Davis going to keep getting? Like, who's going to want to work with Tank Davis? If they know, like, oh man, they're going to film spots where it makes me look bad and make him look good, how's that going to affect my marketability? Why should I go spar this dude? This punk's going to film me, making himself look like he just completely dominated me. Well, why should I work with this kid? That's what they're going to ask themselves. And you're right, Gaines. It's about what you do at Fight Night anyway, but a lot of fans don't get that, bro. I saw a lot of channels, many channels I like, they supported it. Oh, yeah, Tank, he showed them what it's all about. This is why Tank's the best. Like, okay. Yeah, for Rican, if he was dogging him the whole sparring session, why aren't all the 4 rounds released? Why didn't they release the full set? You know what I mean? Why didn't they release the whole thing? You know what I'm saying? Why did they do that? Go ahead and release the whole enchilada. Let's see the whole sparring session. Also, why'd you walk out if it was scheduled for 6 rounds? Like, if you're gonna broadcast it, then let's broadcast it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't give me some of it. You'll go to any pro fight that went the distance and just cut out segments of a dude that lost like 10 rounds and just get the 2 rounds he won and cut just the good parts, and it's going to make it look like he dominated that fight. Don't give me some of it. Give me all of it then if you're going to release it. Give me all of it then. Who's going to want to work with him? Ask yourself this question. Who's going to work with Tank Davis? Who's going to want to work with this kid? And why would they work with him? Chat my like button, by the way. Who's going to want to work with this kid, man? Let me tell you something. If this becomes a new culture instead of what we've had forever, right? What happens in sparring, right? It stays there. And you'll have like legendary talks and legendary stories. Some people believe them, some people don't, right? But if you're having a private sparring session, that should not be released to the public. There should be a trust between 2 fighters putting in work, right? There should be a trust between those 2 fighters. That, you know what, I'm a little rusty and I'm not, looking good right now, and I'm going to work with this kid. Maybe he's going to beat the shit out of me, but I need this work. And he's going to give me this work that I need, right? And he's not going to release it. You're going to work with him. If you know they're just there to make you look like a fool, you ain't going to work with them. Well, why would you work for them? Why would you? Think about it. So look, man. If all I'm saying is this little, and as a boxing fan, you guys should know. You guys should know. You know what? We can't praise somebody for doing something like that. We can't just do a video and be like, yeah, Tank owned Redkach. Tank's the man. Like, you know what I mean? I felt that way when they secretly Spadafora, right? When they filmed that sparring session with Floyd, dude, like, instead of like being like, you know what, man, hey Floyd, thank you for working with Spadafora. It was a good learning experience for him. It was some great work, right? Can we work again in the future? You might have been a regular sparring partner for Floyd Mayweather. It might have made you sharper. It might have been better for you. Instead, you know what? Nah, I'm going to look for my moment of fame, and I'm going to go ahead and just release the sparring footage and tell everybody that I beat up Floyd Mayweather in sparring. Right? And let me tell you guys something, man. I don't take sparring stories that serious. I just don't. Maybe you guys take it serious. I don't take it serious. Sparring stories to me are like whatever. You know what I mean? I don't. Let me tell you some sparring stories I've heard. Just put them out there that I don't buy. All right? And I have some reasoning behind it. When you always hear stories, right? People say stories about Floyd Mayweather used to beat up Pernell Whitaker in sparring when Mayweather was just a teenager, right? A prime Floyd couldn't even beat up Jose Luis Castillo. He outpointed him in the second fight. He lost the first fight for real. I don't care what anybody says, all right? But even if you think he won, he didn't beat him up. But I'm expected to believe that a teenage Floyd Mayweather was beating up and putting in that work on Whitaker, like a Whitaker that was a world champion. Like, you expect me to believe that? You know, like you just expect me to just accept that. No, beat these styles. This is what they said. Floyd said it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. Floyd said he was beating up Frankie Randall after Randall beat Chavez. He even said, I don't know, disrespect to Randall, but I was beating him. I would hold back, he said. You guys really believe that? I don't believe that. I know, like let me put it this way. Do I believe that they were having a light sparring session and maybe Floyd got the best of him in a light sparring session? That's possible. All right? That's possible. But what good would it do Whitaker to beat up Floyd Mayweather in sparring? What good would that do for him? How would that benefit him? What good would it do Frankie Randall to beat up Floyd Mayweather in sparring? What good would that do for him? It wouldn't do him any good. Nothing. But they could still get some light work from the kid who was obviously talented to stay sharp, and because it's sparring. All right? And maybe it was light sparring. So, of course, you're holding back, Floyd. Everybody's holding back. All right? But like a prime Floyd is getting, he had a sparring session where it looked like a dude called Spadafora got the best of him. But I'm expected to believe he was taking it easy and clowning Pernell Whitaker. Maybe it's because Floyd was sharp and doing amateur boxing. Maybe Whitaker was rusty. Maybe he was taking it easy on Floyd. There's so many factors that you have to factor in. Like, you got to think about all those things. We could only make so much out of sparring. There's been many instances where former sparring partners thought they could fuck with a dude because they got a quote unquote the best of them in sparring some days. Fernando Vargas knocked the dude out. Post-fight interview. Forget the name of the fighter. It slips my mind, but post-fight interview is like, man, I felt kind of bad because I knew he thought he had a chance because we used to spar. But this ain't sparring. OZ Racing on you. How's it going? Gaines PP, how you doing? How you guys doing? Yeah, Gaines P. I know Mr. Boxing today talked about that sparring session too. It don't mean shit, bro. It don't mean shit. You know what they're doing a lot of camps too? Right? Guys get in there and like they're really working on their stamina and they're working on different styles at the same time. So like they'll put them in there with like the first 4 rounds, like they'll put you in there with someone like Methodical or something. Okay. and maybe around your size. So they kind of, and then like for the next 4 rounds, they'll put you with somebody smaller but quick. That's going to come at you, so you can work on that. And then 3 rounds later, they put you in there. They put you in there with a bigger guy that can punch. You know what I mean? And he's fresh. All right, they take him out, and then boom. The last 3 rounds, they put you in there with like somebody else with a different style, with a different approach, but fresh, right? So sparring isn't about getting the best out of everybody, and it's about putting in work and working on shit. That's what it's about for the most part. I'm not saying there's no sparring where 2 guys are getting personal in there and stuff like that. Speaking of light sparring, speaking of that, take Oscar De La Hoya, all right? Oscar De La Hoya was sparring Chavez, all right? Now, this was a little different, and this is literally the definition of light sparring, all right? Because, yes, there's an audience there, and they have like fucking, it was like an event, bro. Like, there's people there watching Chavez, and he's sparring a young Sugar Shane Mosley and a young Oscar De La Hoya, 2 Olympic hopefuls, right? Now, I forget who sparred him first, like De La Hoya or Mosley, but like they were rotating guys, putting in fresh meat for Chavez to spar, right? And De La Hoya goes in there. The dude thinks it's a fight, right? He's going in the landing combinations, combinations. Like, you know what I mean? And maybe to him, he's having fun. And, and Chavez is still sparring the guy. Goes back to his corner, right? Yo, tell this kid to slow his roll. Like, well, what's up with this kid? This kid wants to have a full-fledged fight, bro. What the hell's going on? What the hell's going on here? Well, they told Chavez, well, look, I mean, obviously the kid thinks it's a fight, so, what are you going to do about it? You have 2 options at that point, okay? Either you do something about it, okay, or you basically, quote-unquote, fire him. Like, you get rid of him as a sparring partner, all right? Well, I mean, there's people there. So Chavez went there, and, legend has that his corner told him, hey, well, you show him why you're the champ, right? Dropped De La Hoya. Dropped his ass. Right? That's what he did. Let me read some of his comments here. Gains. Maybe some guys just want to get back in shape. Yeah, they do, yeah. M Stacks. They show Pacquiao getting effed up by his Castillo on HBO and sparring. Man. Gerald Washington got the best of Charles Martin sparring, and we know what happened after that. I didn't hear about that, but hey, happens all the time. Sotel Media. Former sparring led to great fight. Fernando Vargas versus Yuri Boy Campas. Campas toyed with the Olympian. Then a year later, it cost Campas a world title. Then Vargas became the youngest, 154. There you go. D. Hodges, how's it going? Got to make sure you press the like button. Sure, do that. but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. At the end of the day, that's how it goes. That's the way the wind moves. I wanted to give my thoughts on this this whole thing, man. Chavez had to put the boy in his place, says Boxing Dialogue. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Let me put it this way, guys. If Chavez would have been like, get rid of this kid, right? I'm telling you right now, till this day, they would be talking about how De La Hoya was beating the shit out of Chavez, and he was beating him up so bad as a teenager that they kicked him out of the camp. But it wasn't, look, it wasn't really a camp. Okay, let me just rephrase that. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean? So I'm not, it just isn't cool, man. It's not, and I'm seeing way too much like, yeah, he owned them and all this shit. Like, man, it's childish shit, bro. Stop releasing like sparring footage. It's corny, right? Especially if it's not even the whole thing. Like, you're only giving me like 10 minutes or 20 seconds of your best work, and you think that's supposed to impress me or some shit. It doesn't impress me. Sorry. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro. Yeah. Mamar knocked out. Yeah. He knocked him out in the undercard. Absolutely. Absolutely. I put a link there just in case. I don't know if anybody wants to, jump on or not, but just in case, I put the link there. All right. Just in case. The Texan says releasing the minimal. By the way, if you want to come on, Texan, I put the link there. Releasing minimal. I see someone who has raging confidence and insecurity issues. Well, yeah. Any fighter that is confident in his skills and is confident in what he can do, any fighter, okay, that's confident, it has no reason to release 20 seconds of sparring footage where he was like getting the best of somebody. All right? There's like no reason to. Like, if you think that what I've done in the boxing ring and official fights is enough, there ain't no reason to release shit like that. That shit's corny, bro. It's one of the most corniest shit I ever seen. Or that any fighter could do, releasing sparring footage like that. I'm sorry. Anybody wants to come defend Tank, I welcome you. The Texan says he'll come on in a second. Cool. Anyone who wants to support Tank, I welcome you to come on and explain to me. All right? Explain to me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Explain, like, if anybody wants to explain to me why you're cool, all right, with that, or why that's a good thing for boxing or the boxer himself. All right, Dave, I see that, man. Send me a video, okay? Send me a text. I see the video on the text. All right, check this out. Dave from Leave It in the Ring, bro. All right, yeah. I'm playing live in the studio and shit. I see that. There we go. Yeah, all right. Here we go. Look, man, let me tell you guys something. It's weak sauce, man. If anybody wants to argue that it's not, by all means, come argue with me that it's not weak sauce. If anybody wants, any Tank fan out there, because I saw a lot of you make videos, bro. Oh, Tank owns Redkach. Breaking news. Like, I saw those videos out there, so I want to hear from you guys. Right? Breaking news. Tank owns Redkach. Like, you know what I mean? Those were videos. I saw those videos. So I know a lot of you out there, bro. All right? This was some weak sauce shit. I'm just telling you that right now. Man, I can't believe Redkach got beat up by a little dude. Like, Tank was like a super middleweight in there, bro. The love handles were in full effect. Couldn't box more than 4 rounds. He's out of shape. He's out of shape. That's what he is. And it's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with, okay, I've done 4 rounds, so I'm good, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't even think Redkach and his team would have had an issue with that. They would probably just said, hey, man, thank you for the work, and then they would have left it at that. But you released footage of the sparring session intentionally to make yourself look good and him look bad. So it's at that point, it's okay if he points it out. You said 6 rounds. After 4, you said, peace out. That was some sneaky shit, too, with the phone, too. Like, they were just waiting for that perfect moment. He got his moment, and then they just left. You thought it was pretty cool, 92 a coup. All right. I think it was corny. Yes, me. I'm waiting for the Texan on here. I mean, I don't know when Texan. I don't know what you meant by a moment in the Texan, but did you mean like a couple minutes? Well, what do you mean by a moment? you know, like you may want to let me know there. What you meant by a moment, bro. I don't know what you meant by a moment. You know what I mean? But you let me know, bro. Like, for real. That was another black guy for our sport that always gets shit. And here's the other thing, right? Look, I want to see Tank in there with a Devin Haney or a top, lightweight in the world is what I want to see, right? If he goes in there and looks phenomenal and knocks out a top lightweight, I'll give him all the credit in the world. I'll come on here and do those videos too. Like, wow, Tank looked amazing. I'll be the first one to come do it. But I ain't going to do it for a damn 20-second clip of sparring. You guys are better than that. Anyone who was praising that, you're a new age fan. I'm sorry. Anybody who was impressed by that, like you're just a new age fan. Like if that impressed you. Okay? Just saying. And make sure you guys press the like button, by the way. Make sure you do that. Hit that subscribe, hit that damn bell button so you're notified. But you guys should already know, by the way, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Hispanics Causing Panic, Wednesdays, here. Nowhere else. Here. All right? What's up, Charles Miller? Not to there's nothing wrong with a quote-unquote behind-the-scenes look. If it's like, I don't know, like a documentary or something like that. But to me, let me tell you something, man. If you hurt the culture of sparring and what the purpose of it is, which is work. That's how guys, it's an old saying, iron sharpens iron. All right? If guys start saying, you know what, I don't want to work with this guy, I don't work with that guy, like, you know what I mean? And you limit who you can potentially spar with, that does hurt the talent all around in the sport. That's what it does. Like if you're sparring somebody, right? And your whole intention is just to release footage of how you beat them up, then that tells me one of two things. Either you're not telling the full story, meaning you gave us a little clip and you're trying to put on this facade that you dominated them for 4 rounds or something, right? Or you're showing me that you're not even doing this for work and to improve yourself as a fighter, for iron sharpening iron and when, to be the best, to make yourself the best fighter you could be, to have full intentions of fighting the best in your division. Because if it's just showing me you're just being a bully, then it's all it's showing me at the end of the day. So it's either or, but I think it's the first, to be honest. What's going on, Renee? How's it going? Well, Tank was going all out for 20 seconds, Renee. Did you watch? Because I haven't watched the other 3 rounds, 3.5 rounds. Did you watch the other 3 and 3/4 rounds? I didn't watch them. Did you? If anybody else has seen the whole round in their entirety, send it to me. $1,000, he's still living out the Pedraza win because Loma went the distance with him. Look, I mean, the Pedraza win was a good win. All right? It was. And what else have you done for me, bruh? What else have you done? A guy going all out in sparring is one thing, right? That could happen in sparring. But what I'm saying is, why are you releasing footage to make yourself look good? I'm just saying. Like I wasn't a fan of the clip, man. I thought it was weak sauce. John says Tank should fight at 130, but he does not have a discipline. He does not have the discipline. He has great power and is very athletic. However, he doesn't spend enough time in the gym. Bro, John's lifestyle is going to catch up to him. You just got to look at the way he looks between fights. It's going to catch up on him. Hard. It's going to catch up on him. I promise you it will. What's going on, Reggie? And now, and here's the other thing. Like I said, who's going to work with the guy now? Really? Like what top fighter, right, is going to say, oh, yeah, I'm totally going to work with Tank? For what? Who wants to get embarrassed? And who wants to have who wants to spar for 6 rounds and then wake up the next day and they released 30 seconds of when they were getting the best of you? And we don't have any footage of the rest of it. You know what I mean? And you guys know I'm making too much fucking sense. You know I am. Let me talk about this other guy, man. Let me talk about this. Adrien Broner. People are talking about him fighting Regis Prograis. Right? And I got the Texan on here. How's it going, Texan?
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, loud and clear. Hey, but before I even talk about what I was about to talk about, give me your thoughts on Tank. Last week released, about a 20, 30-second clip of getting the best of Redkach. What are your thoughts on that sparring clip?
Man, like I said, man, raging signs of insecurity, because they didn't release the full footage, and that really tells me a lot. I'm not saying it because I hate Tank or anything like that. I actually think he's a good fighter, but I'm pretty sure he understands at this point, him and his team understand that fighters who do that, or anybody that does that in general, isn't really being honest with themselves,
Right.
Just being very dishonest to themselves. Right. It's not just the whole thing about the fans' perspective on all of that. But if somebody who's been in there knows anything about it, they know that they don't really have any confidence in themselves if they're releasing that type of footage, that they're not revealing the whole thing.
Right. Plus, they told Redkach side no filming, right? You can't film it. But then they released the best part. It was done with a cell phone. And it's they release, and they're talking smack too, in those 30 seconds. Okay, where's the rest? And also, why didn't you stay for the full 6 rounds? The agreement was 6 rounds. You left after 4. And the people are getting on Redkach saying, why are you releasing that information? Why are you talking shit? Why are you being salty? What do you mean, why is he being salty? It's obvious, right? And then do you think this hurts Tank in terms of finding quality sparring moving forward?
It could potentially, but it's probably going to put a sign for any type of notice, okay, well, if he's going to be doing this, let my team film it as well.
Right.
That way we can be on equal footing.
Exactly.
Before we do any of this.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly what happened with Conor McGregor and that Australian boxer. I keep forgetting. Do you remember his name?
Chris Van Heerden. He's from South Africa, I think.
That's it. Yeah. That is him. So Chris Van Heerden sparred Conor McGregor. Okay. They finished the sparring session. He's like, hey, man, thank you for the work. And it seems like he's a nice guy and all that, right? Then Conor releases footage that makes him look good. It makes it look like he's clowning this professional boxer. And it obvious to someone who watches boxing like myself or you, people saw man, that shit's edited as fuck. But all his fans were like, oh, man, look, Conor looked great and this and that, right? And Van Heerden said, fuck this. He had a member of his team film the sparring session. He had no interest in releasing the footage, but he released it because of what Conor McGregor did. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to release the real thing then. You watch the real thing, he's obviously schooling Conor McGregor in the sparring session, right? And And I think that's if you're going to spar Tank, you're going to have to just film the whole thing now. Really?
Yeah, that and like a lot of stars, man. When you think about it, well, I don't know, like if Tank is on that level of like a
Mm.
McGregor, Canelo, or anything like that, man. But aside from that, like you're facing somebody that has like a huge complex, basically.
Yeah.
So there is some type of a precaution, or I don't know how you term it,
Mm.
warning, basically, that you could end up getting like the short end of everything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. So like at the end of the day, man, I think respect goes a long way. And yeah, a lot of guys are gonna have to ask the precaution, but there's gonna be guys who are gonna say, well, fuck it, I don't want to work with him at all. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you're gonna have situations where, well, we're gonna film because of this. Why you can't work with us then? And that's it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I agree with you though. There's definitely it does scream insecurity doing something like that. And what you think of the channel that were pumping it up, saying that this is a good look for Tank and stuff like that? That
Well, I've
Redkach
only
looked weak.
Well, man, like the thing about me is like I'm very selective with like who I watch and everything like that.
Okay.
And the only channel that I've seen it on is Boxing Ego, and Boxing Ego is a good content creator. I'm not gonna like sit here and say that he has like a bad perception just because like he thinks differently than me
Right.
about Gervonta Davis and the whole sparring issue.
Mm.
But I just don't agree with like the whole thing about it. I just think that it's a matter of them like being in that moment because of Ivan Redkach's last performance against Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia just like taking him to like the later rounds and stuff like
Right.
that. But they don't really put into consideration like what you just stated throughout the entire stream about fighters'
Mm.
situations. Like they could have been just coming on short day notice, or something was going on. Like a lot of stuff can just happen in sparring. Like, or this guy just went all out all of a sudden.
Right. Or maybe one guy already sparred somebody else for 10 rounds and this guy's
Yeah.
fresh. I mean, there's so many variables. Maybe this guy was working the mitts for like 10 rounds before this other guy. It could be a multitude of things. And to me, dude, I'll be honest, man, the whole thing's corny to me. This whole releasing sparring footage, So,
Hmm.
um, what do you think of a potential Prograis Adrien Broner fight, bro? Who do you think wins that fight if that fight were to happen in 2020 or 2021?
Well, it's gonna be interesting, but I can't imagine that fight happening without a catch weight. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just me, because Adrien Broner, man, like he's gonna try to make that weight, but it's just not gonna happen. Like it's gonna be like a similar situation with the Adrian Granados fight, where Granados like tried to get him at 140 pounds, but like they ended up fighting at like the 147 division, basically a week
Right,
later, I think, if I recall. And as for the fight itself, man, like I think it's a good fight. It's gonna be entertaining, like something, at least like during this whole world situation and stuff like that. But Adrian Broner, man, like he needs some type of a confidence building fight before going into a fight like Regis Prograis. Like on paper, it looks nice, but in terms of like the development of Adrian Broner, like the whole rebuilding process, because like look at it this way, man, like Adrian Broner, he's been coming off of like back-to-back losses. I mean, I understand that they're big names and all of that kind of stuff, but the guy has been on like a losing streak, like he hasn't had no
right,
breathers or anything like that. And like there's no rebuilding process like that. None of his team or like anybody that I know that's close to him is like putting into consideration.
right. Here's what I'll say. Um, as far as Adrian Broner needing a tune-up or something, I mean, he has to be realistic. Like he wants 10 million for his next fight. Well, he's not going to get 10 million for a tune-up. He's not even going to get 10 million to fight Prograis. You know what I mean? So he does have
Hmm.
to get realistic with the amount of money he's asking for. He just, especially right now with this pandemic, like maybe, like I still don't think he would have gotten the money, but maybe if there was no pandemic and because hey, the zone paid Gennady Golovkin crazy money to fight Rose. You know what I mean? So you never know, but Um, as far as needing that, he's going to have to get realistic with that. But regardless of what he does, man, I still think the best days of Adrien Broner are behind him. And I just don't think he's going to beat Regis Prograis. I just don't. I'm just going to tell everybody right now, Regis
Yeah, same
Prograis,
here.
he's going to beat Adrien Broner. And the same thing that happens after every single Adrien Broner fight is going to happen in this fight, right? The fight's going to happen, and then Adrien Broner, let's call them supporters, right? Because he has a lot of fans, but even a lot of his own fans have kind of given up on him now. But he still has those guys that are clinging on, bro, to this day, dude. July of 2020, they're still saying things like Adrien Broner has so much potential. The dude's a veteran in the fight game. When is his potential going to come out? They've been talking about this dude's potential for a decade now, dude. His best win is a DeMarco win. Would you agree with that?
I think so.
You know? And the reality is, DeMarco's good. And don't get me wrong, that was a good win for Adrien Broner, But if that's your best win, if that's your crowning win, where are people basing this fictional potential from? Because every Adrien Broner fight, because Prograis going to beat him, and we're going to hear the same shit. Man, Adrien Broner would have won that fight if he just let his hands go. I don't get it. Why doesn't he just let his hands go? Right? I've been hearing the same thing for 7 years.
You know where it comes from, DStyle? You know where it comes from?
Yeah.
It comes from that Maidana fight where, like, have you heard of things where, well, I know it's been a thing, like where Maidana says himself that Adrien Broner hit him the hardest. And like one time he hit him during the fight and like they had to give Maidana some smelling salt and all of that kind of stuff. And that's where like the fans are like, oh, maybe, well, Adrien Broner can actually do something still like to these other guys if he just lets them those hands go, Even heard again with Maidana and stuff like that. That's probably like their mindset, like when it comes like to Adrien Broner for like.
Right. Oh, you cut off there, bro. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're back.
What's up?
Yeah, you cut off for a little bit there.
Yeah, I was saying
that like. Maybe it's my side. I don't know. Let me ask the chat. Can you guys hear text or just me?
Yeah, it's probably me, man. Because like
Wow. Well, here's what I'll say, man. Here's my response to if only Adrien Broner let his hands go. Here's my response to that, okay? The reality is Adrien Broner is not in the middle of a prize fight, okay? And just making a decision not to let his hands go. It's not like he's just like, I could win this fight if I just let my hands go, but I'm not going to do it because I just don't want to. Like, it's just that's not the way it works. That's not what's going on. It's harder to let your hand, like when you let your hands go, you're going to get hit more. You know what I mean? Like the more punches you throw, the more likely you are to get hit back. Adrien Broner just can't respond in the line of fire. That's all it is. All right? He can't do it. This Adrien Broner, this guy you're thinking of that if you only let his hands go, he doesn't exist. All right? That's not a real Adrien Broner. That's an Adrien Broner that you guys wished existed. You wished he could do what Floyd does and, slip punches land, slip punch, slip punch, slip punch. He can't do that. Adrien Broner is either defense or he's offense. It's a switch. Okay? That's what it is. He's not fluid like that. So like this, he doesn't want to let his hands go because he's going to get clipped. He's already getting his ass beat, and you're asking him to let his hands go. I mean, it's going to turn into a brawl, and we know what happened in the Maidana fight when he quote-unquote started to let his hands go. Maidana dropped him, bro. He got clipped throwing his hands more. As soon as he stopped getting less defensive, he got clipped. He doesn't let his hands go because he didn't want to get knocked out. He didn't let his hands go because he'd rather go on survival mode. with a lot of these fights. He can't. That dude don't. I'm going to tell you guys what I've been telling you for 7 years. That Adrien Broner doesn't exist. Okay, it's not. Why doesn't he let his hands go? He's trying. He can't. He. Can, I mean, I don't know if you agree with me. I mean, this is my opinion, but I think it's this Adrien Broner that could, if only he let his hands go, would be undefeated. Is one of the biggest myths going around today. It's my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much.
But what do you make of that though? Like the whole, like I know you explain like where it comes from, but do you see like any fight where he quote unquote would have let his hands go, he would have won? Because I'm hearing if he only let his hands go against Pacquiao, he would have won. Dude, if he let his hands go against Pacquiao, that's what Pacquiao wants, bro.
Oh yeah, that straight left hand, man.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to let your hands go. Like he's gonna hit you while you're punching and shit. You know what I mean? He wants you to like, what Pacquiao doesn't want you to do is to counter punch him and be defensive. Like technically, like that style should have given Pacquiao more problems than it did, right? Technically, but just throw to throw. Why doesn't anybody say that about Floyd? Did Floyd like after 135? Did Floyd quote unquote let his hands go after like the Gotti fight?
Right.
He wasn't letting his hands go, but he was dominating fights. Well, obviously, like Adrien Broner ain't that dude, and he just like he is who he is. You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer, man, that you believe a guy when he shows you who he is. Okay, you don't make a fictional character out of somebody. And I think a lot of people have made up this fictional Adrien Broner that if only he let his hands go would have been a top pound for pound fighter in the sport. Has it ever occurred to you guys that he can't do what you're asking him to do?
Yeah, he's just a low volume fighter at the end of the day.
That's what he is. That's what he is. And once in a while, he lets his hands go, but he just can't. He just does. He's not made for that. He can't fight like that, or he would. You don't think he would just fight like that if he could? If all you have to do is let your hands go, that's the easiest. Like let's say Texan. Let's say you're in a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these YouTubers are telling you, hey, man, Texan, all you got to do is let your hands go. That's it. Like, if you let your hands go, you're going to win every fight. Like, if that was true, wouldn't you just do it?
Yep.
Just start throwing your hands and shit. Like, if that's going to win you the fight. But, yeah, man, I got Prograis, easily beating Adrien Broner. And then, we'll have a bunch of post-fight videos talking about how Adrien Broner did. Like I don't get it. Why didn't he let his hands go? That's going to be the talking point. Like it is after every single Adrien Broner fight. Every single one. Every time Adrien Broner loses, there's a bunch of, I just don't get it. What's going on with Broner? Why didn't he just let his hands go? Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up, bro. Hey, you have any other thoughts, bro? Any other boxing topics you want to bring up quick?
Well, man, Regis Prograis, he's always been a good fighter to me. Like he's just a very well-rounded fighter. He showed that he could box in that Josh Taylor fight. And we all knew it was going to be a close fight. And man, I think people underestimate his boxing ability. What's up?
I scored at 7-5 for Prograis, bro.
Yeah, that's the point, too. Like Regis Prograis, I still think he could do things at 140 pounds. Like it still doesn't change my perspective on him versus Jose Ramirez or even a guy like Mikey Garcia, man, believe it or not.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 100%. Shout out to BFTB in the chat. How's it going? Shout out to you, bro. Look, man, what do you think of Jose Ramirez versus Josh Taylor? I've been saying this. I still have that picture when I talked about this. I still think Regis Prograis is a player in his division at 140, right? And the way I see it, because I was telling people, I think Taylor's going to beat Prograis. That was my prediction. But I keep it 100 though. I scored that fight 7-5 for Prograis. But I understand the fight could have gone either way, and I understood the fight was in England. You know what I'm saying? So it's not outside the realm possibility that Taylor could have won. I'm not saying it's a rob or anything. But I felt Taylor could beat, Prograis. I feel Ramirez could beat Taylor, and I feel Prograis will beat Ramirez if hypothetically these three guys all fight each other. Okay. How do
Yeah.
you see Jose Ramirez faring against Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis in those two separate fights? How do you see those fights?
Well, Ramirez against Taylor, man, I actually kind of lean towards Ramirez because like Josh Taylor has some type of lapses in judgment where like he tends to walk his opponents down and stuff like that. And Ramirez, I think that fares well for him actually. And like he has a very nasty left hook. And based on that Maurice Hooker fight, man, it really told me a lot about Ramirez. Like he's a very polished fighter, and I'm pretty sure that Robert Garcia can like develop a game plan for him and stuff against Josh Taylor. Like develop a jab that's very great. Like enough to keep
Right.
Josh Taylor honest, basically, man. And as for him versus Regis Prograis, and I still stand on it. Like even before Regis won a title, that Regis has a chance against Ramirez as much as against Josh Taylor or Ramirez against Josh Taylor. Like I think that's a harder fight for Ramirez, like Regis Prograis, than a fight with Josh Taylor, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because Regis Prograis, I don't know, something about him is like very rhythmic, like his movement and stuff. Like I just see a lot more athleticism and a lot better lapses in judgment, if you ask me, than someone like Josh Taylor against a guy like Ramirez.
Right. Okay. And what do you think of Ramirez Prograis?
What's up?
What about Ramirez Prograis? How do you see that one?
Ramirez Prograis. Oh, that's what I was just talking about right now,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Gotcha. Like the stylistic breakdown. I didn't break that down, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of get what you mean, yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah, but Ramirez versus Regis Prograis, I still think that it's a tough fight because like Ramirez still has to kind of like demonstrate like how he cuts the ring off well against somebody that has like a good back foot game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think Regis Prograis might be one of those guys that has like the best back foot game, like compared to anybody that Ramirez has fought. Right. And Regis Prograis is a southpaw.
Right. I think we live in an era, man, where like a guy loses and people just jump off the train. Like I heard a lot of people talk about how high they were on Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis is great, and he is. But man, the number of people that just jumped off the train as soon as he lost was unbelievable. I think I've seen guys lose and they come back better than ever. You know what I mean? So if Regis takes his loss to Taylor, goes back and reflects on that and improves himself as a fighter, right? And he'll leave it in the ring, Regis would have won if he just let his hands go. I mean, I get it. Like if he was more active in the fight, he could potentially have won that fight. But looking at some of those scorecards, it seems like it didn't even matter what Regis would have done, at least with one of those judges. But my point was to kind of compare it to the Adrien Broner. We've been saying the same shit about Adrien Broner for 7 years, right? For 7 years, dudes have been saying he just has to let his hands go, right? I think at this point, like we can't talk about this dude's potential no more. He's been around for a long time. So Adrien Broner is who he is. Like he's shown us who he is. But Regis Prograis, he's still in a position now where he could come back, improve. I thought he was already good, and he could be even better. So a lot of people kind of giving up on Regis, and they're calling him like an average fighter now just because he lost. I think people are being a little unfair to Regis, man. I think, and to the point where there's people saying an Adrien Broner would dominate and beat him. And I just think that's like way off, to think that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the thing about Regis Prograis, man, like his philosophy, I think is a lot more in tune with boxing than an Adrien Broner, and they're like both the same age, basically. And if you ask me, like Regis Prograis can make some adjustments. I mean, like it still doesn't change my opinion either on Regis Prograis potentially beating like Josh Taylor in a rematch, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah, it could be. I mean, those two guys could have a trilogy, bro. They could take it a welterweight too. You know what I mean? At some point. So that's just the way the way I see it, man. A lot of people have jumped off the Regis Prograis train. A lot of people, and I see that too much when the guy loses. So I get it. Like he doesn't have the O anymore. But I mean, that just doesn't define a fighter. Remember, Pacquiao got knocked out twice, bro, before he even ran into Barrera and beat up Barrera. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and we're not even talking like this dude got knocked out. I think he arguably won. He had Taylor looking like the Elephant Man, and it was a fight that could have gone either way, really. So at the end of the day, but I want to address that for Ricky. He said, "What do you think about Verdejo versus Ryan?" All right. Look, man, I've only seen Verdejo when he fought Villanueva and knocked him out with that beautiful hook. And I believe it was a hook. That's the last time I saw Verdejo. I can't remember another fight where I saw him. Did he recently fight?
Yeah, he recently fought this weekend, and he fought.
Yeah.
I think his last fight was the one that he lost, actually, before
really?
this one.
Oh,
I think
dang.
so. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm sorry I can't answer your question directly because Ryan, there's just a lot we don't know about Ryan, but I would favor Ryan, from what I know. I can't give you like a full breakdown on that, but I'll keep an eye on Verdejo for sure. A lot of the weekend fights I catch up on Mondays. So, but I can always look into that and touch on it on HCP on Wednesday and stuff like that. So I'll say that about that. I don't want to. I just don't want to bullshit Alpha Rican and make up a breakdown. So so that's just the thing with that. But 892 said Ramirez is underrated. A lot of people are saying, I used to favor Tater, but now I kind of favor Ramirez. Hey, man, let me tell you, man. I was looking forward to that Prograis Hooker fight because it was going to tell us a lot, and unfortunately that fight got, canned and Hooker's moved on to 147, so that's that. But hey, I thought do you do videos, bro? You post videos here on YouTube?
Yeah, every once in a while, but it's been a thing where like my phone has been acting up and like it keeps on rebooting and stuff like that, so I gotta get that checked out. But
Gotcha.
at times I'll start up some streams because I'm still looking for some type of software just like to make solo videos, you know what I mean?
Right. I got you. Yeah, I mean, no problem, bro. So there you go, guys. The Texan man. Give me any final thoughts, bro. I'm about to wrap this one up.
Oh nah, man, like it's been a good show, you know what I mean? Like it was good on Thursday. That was like my favorite show of the week as well, besides Hispanics Causing Panic. That
Right.
was a good show. Those were two good shows.
Right. Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. A lot of great stuff. But with that said, bro, and we're gonna do another throwback Thursday. Like, I want to do at least like half a dozen shows, like 6 shows. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's something I can do forever because it's only so much material
Yeah.
we could talk about in the past. You know what I mean? But just to touch up on some stuff, and I want to drag out some old school like YouTube. Like, if any of you guys know of any dude that used to do YouTube videos and you still have contacts with him, have him email me or something. You know what I mean? Because I want to even like those. Like, how long have you been watching YouTube boxing, bro? Like boxing
Been
talk.
watching it for boxing talk, like where like the comments and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, I've been watching it for like 5 years, I think, because like the first year, like in 2014, I was still in high school. So
Okay.
like I was just like binge watching like old fights, like from the 80s, 70s
Gotcha.
to the 90s and
So
2000s. Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I barely turned 24 yesterday, actually.
So you were like freaking. You were in middle school, bro, when I started this shit. This is
Well,
crazy.
actually, I was in, yeah.
Probably, yeah. Like maybe a freshman in high school, maybe. But yeah, that is crazy. But a lot of this stuff, man, because I'm taking it back, like 2009. There's a long like history with boxing talk. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
um,
the last thing that I remember boxing like from 2009, man, was I think Antonio Margarito versus Shane Mosley and David Hay fighting
Okay.
Nikolai Valuev like on YouTube and shit.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Like if I cussed. Yeah,
That's cool shit. I cuss all the time. But
yeah,
like look, man, there was a time. Like today, like when you're looking for like have you done post fight videos after a fight?
yeah. I actually do them like whenever I had that app when I was
Okay.
downloading them on it. Yeah,
Yeah, like do you do you ever get like thumbs down or like comments? Like people are like, fuck you, bro. Like you're like, what the hell? Why are you mad? Like, I'm just talking about the fight. Well,
yeah.
that's because yeah.
On a lot of Golovkin videos, man.
Well, there's that, but I don't know if they've ever like do that on your post fight videos because they think like they click on it and they think it's the fight. You know what I mean? So anybody
Yeah.
wondering why you get thumbs down on post fight videos sometimes, it's not because people just hate you. It's because they hate you for the moment because they think it's the fight, right? They're
Hmm.
expecting to see Gennady Golovkin throw down with somebody, and then they see some random dude on camera or just his voice, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And they get pissed off. You know what I mean? So that's
Hmm.
why a lot of us started putting like no footage or commentary or something like that because of that. But there was a time here on YouTube, like that's how I found blood boxing. So I was looking for a fight because I was binge watching. Oh, that's how a lot of us start. We're binge watching old fights, and then like you're expecting to watch a fight because it has a picture of the two fighters. You click on it, and it's some dude talking, right? Now,
Yeah.
me, I had a little bit of a different reaction. I clicked on it and I saw blood boxing there, and I'm like, well, what's this? And here's this boxing fan talking about boxing. And the reason, dude, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like there's somebody talking about boxing, and then that's how I started my channel. But back in the day, bro, like a lot of these, like even the ones before Blood, they would get a bunch of thumbs down, or at the time it was like there were like 5-star ratings, and they would give them like 1 star, and a bunch of dude like they would always like attack us uploaders because like ugly, like fuck you, man, and because they were expecting to see the fight, not commentary, right?
Hmm.
But then over time, more and more guys are doing fight commentary. Then it kind of became a community, and and that's how it was built. And now it's normal. Now you come on and talk boxing. That's like a lot of people do that now. You know what I mean? But there was a
Yeah, I think it
time.
really has. Yeah, it might have to do with like the whole YouTube media. Like the channels like they're going out because like the channels that are like doing all these interviews, basically the quote unquote old media, like are not like doing asking the proper questions. They're just asking stuff like, "Hey, what kind of soap do you use to take a shower and stuff like that? You smell good," and all of that kind of
Right, right.
shit.
Oh wow.
Versus
Yeah,
the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
that's
I mean,
asking.
like
Hmm.
setback. Are you talking about setback? But um,
One
like
of them. One of them.
yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, bro. I mean, I don't kind of like. I don't go by labels like old media and new media, all that. I don't care about all that personally. And
Yeah.
like to me, it's like either you're real or you're not. There's some old media guys that are real and they ask real tough questions and I respect. There's some that I don't. You know what I mean? It's the new media guys I just flat out don't respect. You know what I mean? They don't. A lot of them
Yeah, I'm
lie
still
more
trying
than
like
the
to
old
come
media.
up with like a term for them.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So it's just kind of like to me, either you're real and authentic or you're not. I don't care. Like I'm not gonna just because you label yourself some, just be cool with you. That's not the way I roll. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But with that said, bro, I want to thank you for coming on, man. And peace out, bro.
Yeah, peace out, man. It's been a good show.
Yeah, for sure. It's Eloy making a comeback, man. Big Dog Willie, I promise you we're going to talk about that on Wednesday with Chief Funky, man. We're going to talk about that. But my short answer, I don't believe so. I don't. I honestly don't believe. I think he's trying to get some attention. Is what I think. What's that Afro Rican man? It says, that's how I started too. Looking for prediction about Cota Margarito, and I came across 78 after a few years. Give you a shout out, and that's how I found this channel. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. I've been watching since Margarito Cota 2, Afro Rican G. Yep. Is De La Hoya really making a comeback? And I answered that, Big Dog Willie. What's that say, guys? I got to run, man. But this is DStyleBoxing. Keep it boxing. Press the like button. Make sure it turns blue. All right? And I'm out of here, guys. Peace.